In this video, we will continue to introduce some string characteristics. There are few member functions in the string. We have length, size, capacity, maxima length, and substring and swap. Do you all know the difference between those member functions? So here we see, earlier we already see the size and the length. So the size and the length, these two member functions, actually they are the same. They both return currently how many characters in the string. But we also have the capacity. So capacity is different from the length and the size. So capacity, actually, remember, even our string, C++ string is an object. But underneath in the library, we're still using the character array to implement that. But they kind of is a dynamic array. So actually here the capacity just means the capacity for that array size. So then if we need, earlier we show you string, actually you can append the more character or any other substring into a string. So that's why if necessary, we need to expand the character array for the string object. Our capacity need to change. Of course, most of the time when we implement the capacity, we usually double the size. But actually how to implement that, the capacity, actually it really depends on how the compiler write the implementation. So that we say the capacity of the string must be at least equal or less than the current size. Otherwise, we need to enlarge. But your capacity is not mean you can always unconditionally grow. So that's why here they have the largest possible size. On the other hand, that will be the largest possible capacity for the string. So that's what we will show you the string characteristic in the example 5. In the example 5, the first thing we will see here, the function we implement, we call print statistics. So this one means when we pass in a string object, I will display all the information from the string object. So you will see here in this print function, we just see out all the information. We will pass in the string object and invoke the capacity and max size. So this max size, as earlier we say, the maximum capacity. So then the current size. Or are they empty? So that's your print statistic. Yeah, this one actually should be changed to size. Instead, size should be length. So I just correct that this one should be length. Right, so that's what we'll see when we code this print statistic, how we will do. So actually here we will start with an empty string. So then we will display to code the print statistic to display the information. So one thing you will see here, you have one thing you didn't see. That's what we call the bool alpha. So this one actually, when we display the bool or the bool data type, they actually only display 0 and 1. So if we want to display true or false, you can using the bool alpha. So that's why they will display later when we check the empty, they will display true or false. So that's create an empty string. So that's why you will see they have nothing. So then we will enter the string. So then actually we have two, we have tomato and soup. So then you call the string 1 passing to the print statistic. So we will see the output first. So that's why you see before you have anything entered, that's an empty string. But empty string, they already have capacity. They have the maximum size. But the size, length, they are all 0. So they are empty. But what I want you to do is, your output may be not the same as mine because different compiler, different IDE, or the operating system, they will make the difference. So actually my default capacity is 22. So then after we enter the tomato soup, because we didn't use the get line, so that's why they only can get the first word. So that's why capacity not change. So that's why our length make the change. So then when we just reading into the string 1 again, so that's why you see the change. So afterward, you see we add a long string in there. So that's why, because the string is bigger, right? So that's why the originally capacity 22 is not big enough. So underneath for the string object, the implement, if the updated string is greater than the current capacity, so they will enlarge the capacity, become 63. But you see the size for the whole thing actually still just 50. So then you will see here that's the result. And also at the end, you also can do is let's resize that. So we see how to resize. So when you do the resize, you will see size. We got original size plus 10. So we see after resize what they will print. And the statistic will display like what. So that's what you will see here. So then after you resize, when we print again, you see nothing really changed. But the size did add by 10. Because one thing is you only tell me to resize. You didn't ask me to add anything. So that's why they didn't really display the empty space. But the size did change. But size change doesn't mean your capacity change because they are not big enough. Unless you can try here is, how about you add, since now we know the capacity is 63, right? So then you can see if you add length by 10 or by 15, see if the capacity will change accordingly. So that's the example for the 5. So what I want you to see is to understand what's different between the length size with the capacity. So this one I just changed this length add to 15 to the size. So then you will see because the size becomes 65, greater than the original capacity, the capacity actually change accordingly as well. Before we finish this video, also talk about the swap function and the substring function. Actually, we can have a substring member function. So you can see actually this substring actually is the member function belong to one of the string object. So when you try to code the substring, you need to create a string object already. So then after you code the substring, they will create and return a new string object. So then actually the substring, they will passing by a couple parameters. So that we know what kind of substring you want to create. So they will have the 2 arguments. The first argument just specify what is the beginning index. Remember, index start from 0. Then the second argument is how many characters you want to be in the substring. So that's why they can create the substring. So you can see here we have the string 1. The airplane landed on time. So then when we create a substring, so then here we only see out. But if we want to save, you can save assign into another string variable name. So we start from the 7th index. So remember we start from 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we read 5 characters. So your substring will be the plane. The last one, actually, we talk about the swap function. We see the swap function a lot, right? So here in our STL library container, we have swap function. So then here, the swap function actually is the member function in the string class. So since that's the member function, you need to have your host object. So your host object invoke the swap. So that's why inside your swap function, you need to pass in another string object. So afterward, they will swap the content of the object. On the other hand, actually, how we implement that in the string class, they will just re-reference the 2 character array. So then you can see the example here. We have the first and the second string. So before they swap, you can display their content. So after swap, so this one you can either do the first dot swap, then second, or second dot swap first. Either way is fine, but most important thing is swap is a member function. So they need an object to invoke that. So of course, afterward you display again, the content is changed.